So where I'm at is I've got the metric, lights on, lights off metric, which I want to, I've got the bold ambition of by 2025, I want the current assessment system to have come under scrutiny and to be shown to be detrimental, basically, not only to achievement, but also to mental well-being. And what with the initial interest from schools is they love the idea, they love the simplicity of children being able to state I'm lights on, which means, yeah, I'm raring to go, let me at the learning, or I'm lights off, which means like I'm kind of in survival mode. My brain, my neurocircuitry is kind of closing down to any opportunities. And where I'm at with my understanding of it is that lights off is survival mode, but it's also a growth opportunity. And so where I feel the wasted potential is happening within schools and society really, is that once our brains go into a lights off mode, it's right, we've had a perceived threat. So we're kind of locking down and we're sort of focusing in on, how to stay safe, of which obviously millions of children around the world are in that constant state, right? Which is not good for your body. It's not good for your heart, your brain, or anything.
Which exactly resonates with the story that David Risley told me about this kid, that how he was drawn into gang membership.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're literally looking for perceived threats. So any learning can't take place. But what's exciting about the lights off state, so that it becomes, I guess I see it as like, this is our chance to unlock the potential that has been wasted in human beings. Because when you look at your thoughts and our thoughts in a lights off state are, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not enough, I can't do this. They're all the negatives. We've got the negativity bias. So once we shine a lens on that, once we're able to kind of go, okay, I can feel I'm lights off, because we feel it in our bodies. We feel sick, we feel heavy, all of those feelings, and our energy shifts. Now we can look and go, okay, this is my obstacle to growth. So for a boy, like, for example, like you say, who got into the gang violence, he's probably thinking, like, I'm not smart enough to do anything else. This is my only route to survival. Do you know what I mean? And this is my fastest way to make money. And so it's looking at that. As soon as we know that that's the neurocircuitry, we're looking at, well, why do you think you're not smart enough? Well, because I'm sitting there in class and I'm distracted and I can't take anything in. So now we know the exact obstacle that we've got to overcome, right? It's a neural network that needs to be built. So that's where I'm at with that, because what the teachers, I think, are getting excited about, the initial ones I've spoken to, is really what the current assessment system is looking at the outputs. And what lights on learning does is it looks at the inputs, and the inputs are our thoughts, which affect our feelings, which affect the choices we make, which affect the action that we take and the results that we get. And I've got just so many great examples of, there's one in particular, a 6-year-old, who felt she was stupid and couldn't write. And, we just transformed that belief in her, and she's flying. And so I guess where I'm at with things is I think that the current education system and the assessment system is putting this really low glass ceiling on what we're capable of as humans. And once we unlock that and kind of let that go, then we are going to be able to really, really flourish. And that's when all the magic, right, of serendipity and, the bigger, wider kind of quantum physics stuff kicks in. So I'm starting to talk with schools again to get lights on schools, and I'm talking with a tech company to design something that can track it, and ultimately replace. I want to show that when you lead with mental well-being, then we unlock exponential potential in human beings. And given what's happening with AI at the moment, we have to. So it's not only like, oh, this would be great. It's we have to fucking do this.
It's an imperative. It's funny. I was when I do this morning, try and do it most mornings, ritual where I was from Mo Gaudet. I don't know if you've read his book Solve for Happy.
No.
It's really good.
What was it called?
Solve, as in solution. Solve for Happy.
Okay, yes.
Mogowdt, Gaudat, DAT. Anyway, he has a routine. He's ex Google X, and his daughter had some. He had to step back, and because of illness, his daughter had. And he has a routine in the morning where he just sits with a pad of paper. I do it with my iPad,
Yeah.
and for 45 minutes. And the first half an hour is the usual lists of supermarket, do this, must call that person, must do this. But it's the last 15, 20 minutes, really interesting stuff
Yeah.
starts to flow.
Yeah.
And the other day I was doing, I don't know, for some reason, I'm just looking at my notes now. It's just as you were talking about the thoughts. Um, I was just writing down, yeah, it was a list of things like looking at tools, techniques, tasks, delivery. What do we do with how we manage our day? You know, we have tasks, we deliver them, we delegate them, we dump them. We also increasingly we delay them or we automate them with AI and machine learning. And it just got me thinking for some reason, Maslow's hierarchy of needs came to me
Yeah.
and thought, in a world where we have more and more AI, there's an opportunity if we create society in the right structure to become more self-actualized. But then I thought, the issue I've always had with Maslow's hierarchy is that it's hierarchy. And I suddenly thought, maybe we should start thinking about it, this not as a hierarchy, but more as a wheel. And
Yeah.
with the you at the center.
Yeah, it's definitely circular.
With you at the center. And so your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly life, you have to think about the secure you, the physical you, the emotional you, the esteemed you, and the actual you. And
Yeah.
what do you have to do to create that balance? And in a way, what you're doing with these children is taking something that where the whole circle is the secure you, and then starting to create balance in it. And it's about what are the tactics and the tools and the techniques you need to do to actually help create that balance in someone's life. And to be honest, it isn't just children, it's anyone at any stage of their life.
Yeah, and that's so I work primarily with the parents. So what I feel my work is whole family transformation and then whole school community transformation. And so what I've now got is got my learn system, which is exactly that, the tools, the techniques. And the three elements that I think are really important is heart set, mindset, and skill set. And what the current, it's any institution really that's switching off people's lives. It's ignoring the thing that we're here to do, right? And this is where I think the interesting thing, right? AI is just like hasn't got that heart set, but it's the heart set that makes us unique as humans.
And what were the three? Mindset, heart set, and
heart set, mindset, and skill set.
Oh yeah, okay.
So what I talk about is basically for me, the priority is like, right, heart set, let's tune into that. What is it you're really good at that you can become great at? And let's invest that time, your lifetime, really exploring that. Then once you've got your heart set and your natural born talent and your strengths and all of that in play, kind of in your awareness, now you've got a reason to develop the mindset. So most people work on mindset without heart set, especially in schools. And so it's kind of like saying, like, go to the edge of this cliff and jump. Well, why? Because you have to. And it's just like, well, as opposed to, go to this edge of the cliff and you're going to jump because that's going to free you to do, whatever with the heart set.
That's really interesting.
And then the skill. So once you know what your natural born talents and heart set is, you can work on your mindset. But now you also know the skill set that you really want to invest in. Right. And so as an entrepreneur, I guess it's just like, always known I'm here to make a difference. So I've had to invest in skill sets like, communication, storytelling. I've had to learn to hack my mind because it's just like, otherwise it's too scary to do what I'm here to do. Do you know what I mean? And I'll find those reasons to stay small in my home. And so it's those three elements. And then what I've got is the learn model now, which is LEARN. And that's why I'm excited, because it's not necessarily do education like this. It's a layer. I think of it as a tracing paper layer that that anyone can put over any educational delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have these 5 elements woven into your educational strategy, then you are shining the spotlight on human potential. And if you don't have it, then you're missing some pieces of the puzzle.
And the other thing as well is it's going to, where if we look at when we speak to people who are in education, the motivation levels of teachers is just at an all-time low.
Yeah, they're lights off. They're in survival mode. There's every perceived threat you could imagine as a human being is coming at you. Your risk of the job, do you know what I mean? If Ofsted come in, or any governing body, your risk that the children, aren't happy, or at risk that children aren't going to meet their grades, or at risk of the parents coming in. I mean, it's like a front line. You mentioned talking to someone of, front line, but it is that. And that's also what I really want, an honest conversation. So what I would love to plant the seed in your mind is where I'm at with my journey now. It's like, right, 2 years, the countdown has begun to get all of the evidence together, get key players together, like who can build this case.
Yeah.
So the prosecutor's really interesting for me because it's just like, what would we need to do? And the filmmaker in me is coming back out. I want to make a film that presents the science, the educational pedagogy, and the human story, I guess, as to why things have got to change. And really just make it, and this is, I guess, where the brand fixing almost, it's almost like, right, education has got such a bad rap. Teachers have got such a bad rap, but I think we can evolve that rather than deconstruct it and have to build something back up. And that's where I'm at with education. It's like, I want to be talking with the teachers who are going, there's an evolution that has to happen here on every level, but it doesn't need to be the full on revolution. Yeah. Because our brains will just go, what the hell are we going to do instead? Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, some of the feedback I've had from people going, you try to take on all these global problems. I'm going, no, it's not. What it's about doing is getting a small group of people together and building prototypes.
Yeah.
And through these prototypes, you're using, that's the output of design thinking. Then you can, what to do is do test-driven development the same way when you're building an application. And essentially all we're doing is creating human-based applications rather than, and some of it might be online technology, but it's actually, it's human technology is what you're designing for.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting. And it does dovetail. Because when, I just think about, I had David on, David's the criminal justice guy, and Jennifer Hutchins is the producer. If, they don't know each other.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if I got you, her, and David on a Zoom, all talking with your different perspectives, it would be really interesting. Just in that instance alone.
Yeah, I think that could be a really lovely element of your, the podcast is that you have these individuals, and then and this week we're bringing these three
together. Well, I think that probably is what I have to do, because I said to Jennifer, I said to her, I challenge you to do something, and then I say, are you open for me to connect you with other guests? And she goes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's on me now to go, well, I was thinking, who should I connect her with? But it's, definitely, I think about it's you for sure. And David would be a really interesting sort of out there for a different perspective, because she's a story.
Because the questions I'd have for him is just like, it's almost putting it on trial, like what is happening from when we present what's happening from a science based, just a neurocircuitry base, for so many kids.
Yeah.
Surely it wouldn't stand up in court as humane, and so it's that kind of thing. It's like, how do we put something like that under scrutiny so that we come out, winning, and with policy change, legislative change, all of those things. And how do we tell the stories in a different way so it's not depolarized, you've got the radical people, alternative. Like, no, this has got to be mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's really key, Mark, is that these design thinking, and it's interesting with change makers, because again, sometimes identity of change makers can mean that they need the problem to exist to have their identity.
Yeah.
And I would love to challenge change makers now to go, right, we're beyond that. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
our identity needs to sort of really shift. And I think I see that in education. It's just like hot air all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to take action.
Well, that's why I'm calling it an action engine for
Yeah,
progress. I don't want to use it. I'm trying to, where I can, strip out using the word change, because change creates fear
yeah,
in people.
exactly.
That's why I'm calling them the difference makers. So
Yeah,
making a difference over change, because people go, that's status quo. Why are you trying to disrupt things?
yeah,
And
exactly.
so I think that's interesting that I totally agree. And it has to be mainstream. So it is, because when you going back to the AI thing, the driver of all this is AI, that it is threatening every facet of society.
Yeah,
And if we don't start to, if we actually start to look at the risks as one of the big existential threats alongside climate,
yeah,
go, okay, well, we can look at the risks in terms of the design of AI, but we also have to think and prepare for a world when it is there. And
yeah,
that's why we have to really go to areas like, well, what's the knock-on effect going to be to crime? What's the knock-on effect,
yeah.
impact on how does education have to evolve?
Have
And
you been
that's,
exploring OpenAI and Chat GPT?
yeah. So I've got a number of things. I've got on Notion, which I don't think I need to I need to give you a sort of, because I'm going to start to put a lot of information on Notion. So I need to give you a proper deep dive into it on a
Yeah,
separate session. In Notion, they built it into their system. So I've got it in there and I can do things like yesterday I went into it and I put in, write me a poem about climate in the style
yeah,
of Scottish poet Robert Burns.
yeah.
Bang. I was like,
It's amazing.
it was
And
incredible.
that's what's exciting, because from an educational point of view, it's like we have to use this opportunity, because we literally sitting kids down for 14 years just trying to get them basic numeracy and literacy.
I
Come
know.
on. Do you know what I mean? They don't stand a
I
chance.
know. Because when you look at
So,
that, I mean,
like
what,
within minutes, right? Or seconds even. It's
yeah,
just like, wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Write me a poem about climate in the style of a war poet, Rupert Brooke.
Yeah.
You're like, this is nuts.
We
So,
used it with the tech company. I said, look, I want to see if we can use it to create briefs for
mm,
children who've got different switches. So we said, right, the guy did a little bit of kind of getting Chat GPT up to speed of what we meant. And then it was like, design a brief for a 6-year-old who has an engineering switch, to explore and create something that explores the maths curriculum of symmetry and reflection,
uh-huh.
and 5 steps that they'll need to take, right? Within seconds. The amount of time it's taken me to try to train human beings to be able to deliver briefs, it's just like, oh my goodness. And then we said, same brief, but for a 6-year-old performer,
Uh-huh.
same brief, but for a 6-year-old writer. And the potential of us harnessing the power of that as a tool now means a teacher can't say, I can't be expected to know what everybody's passions and, thing are for 30 kids. It's just like, yeah, you
Mm,
can,
yeah.
because you don't actually need to create it. The
I
child
think
can react with
I
it.
think this is the thing that's being missed. A lot of people aren't looking at it's what's the creative potential that
Yeah,
results from this impact. In a
exactly.
way, it's no different in a way of thinking that um, I could do, from anything from Photoshop to, it just takes away originally the time it would take to do something, that it
Yeah,
skips steps. It takes some of the
exactly.
sort of the process and takes you deeper into the creative realm
Yeah,
potentially, and
exactly.
opens up so many new pathways for the imagination to be unlocked.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and I think that's the exciting thing that we're missing.
And I
So
think that's the exciting thing of I think we have to use this case for the education argument because it's just like, we will be slaves to it. Our children will be slaves to it if they just don't know how to think critically, to use a tool that can
Mhm.
enable them to deliver so much human value. Do you know what I
I know.
mean?
Hmm.
But because they are just going to be left behind. Um, yeah, I think it's exciting. Well, keep me posted and anything, I would definitely be up for a
Well,
design thinking,
well, okay. So first thing is, if you don't mind, I might just put this out. Anyway, this little chat, and I'll put it out next week.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I would like to do a proper um follow up, maybe just a half hour interview with you talking about this with a bit more planning. And
yeah,
then after that, because then David will be out, Jennifer will be out, and Katz will be out. And then we could get all four of you on a Zoom call or
yeah,
on Riverside, all just chatting.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah,
Where
that would
where
be
where are you? Are you
amazing.
you're in London at the moment?
Somerset.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you might be near Katz as in Sheffield. But what I might do is connect you guys anyway, just so you're talking.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. My daughter's at uni in Leeds, so I do go up that way, or will be going up that way. Yeah, well,
Oh,
exciting. I think it's important, and I'm glad. It's nice to sort of see that you're continuing to explore, like, what kind of why am I here as Mark? Like,
yeah.
what part am I playing to make a
Yeah.
difference? I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. No, no, I know that is the way that because I've been told so many times, oh, you need to be really specific about what your passions are about. And I'm going, I like all these different things. So and I suddenly went, no, I'm not just going to focus in on one area because I see the connection between so many different things. And
Yeah,
that's what my interest is making those connections and then seeing what can result,
yeah.
and not zeroing in one thing. So that's
And I
why,
think if you just look, your passion is, I mean, just hone in and go, well, actually, my passion is for, do you know what I mean, a better world, justice, or
Mhm.
humanity, flourishing, or whatever it is.
uh,
And that's, you then just look at, and I do that by, through this. And that's what I loved when I started filmmaking, because what I realized is like, oh, okay, I don't have to decide on one thing.
mhm,
I can use filmmaking to explore the things I feel passionate about. And then, of course, I became a mother and that took me down this route. And now I've become an expert. And it's just like, okay, I have to share now what I know, do you know what I mean,
uh-huh,
on a larger scale, but not just as hot air. I definitely want, so I am interested in how obviously I can work with schools and things, but also how the framework, even the concept and, all the tools and activities could be used for social activation, really,
uh-huh.
human activation. Yeah.
No, it's exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah. Cool. Right. If you shoot me a couple of dates, I'm really flexible at the moment. You send me
Yeah.
some dates when you could do, and
Yeah.
we'll get that interview done. And
Yeah. Brilliant.
within the next month, we'll all be on a joint, either Riverside or a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. All
Cool.
righty.
Great.
Well, take care and speak to
Okay.
you soon. I'll send you some dates.
Okay. Bye, Julia. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.